update here at the Big Scope. Now, moving on from the rant that we did last afternoon, a previous afternoon against Donald Trump and America's policy, we'll come back closer to our country, India, and we're going to talk about one of the unicorns in this country, Oyo Rooms. And a news came out and broke out in the last 48 hours about the fact that Oyo Rooms is finally expanding into China. That's a bloody big market.
It's a serious Softbank funding.
The funny thing is, they already had collaborated with local hotel chains in the last 6 months. It's only today that they've announced. Today the paper.
Yeah, they've been doing a little bit here and they're bringing the foundation in place. But the thing is, Oyo, it is not brand new, right? You would say jumping into China straight off the bat would be hard. But Oyo has actually got functioning hotels in Malaysia and Nepal.
Yes.
So for the last 2 years, they've been running hotels outside India and it's doing pretty well.
Absolutely.
Or as well as can be expected for a company that still makes losses.
And it's still making losses, but that's okay for startups which are ambition-based startups. I mean, the VC is putting money in the ambition and the future.
For me,
market.
the way I think about any company that's still making losses, Netflix is still making losses.
Yeah,
and they're the biggest streaming website on the planet. So,
and as a consumer, I think, we shouldn't complain. I mean, so there are two sides of the coin. I mean, as a consumer, you shouldn't complain because you're getting best of everything. I mean, you're getting Netflix. If you look at the Netflix model or the Oyo Room model, I mean, I think it has opened a lot of opportunities. I mean, a simple example would be just outside the Delhi airport. I mean, just outside the Delhi airport, the Delhi International Airport, there used to be these chain of 4 or 5 hotels. I mean, every time you used to go out, and this is around 10 years back, 10, 15 years back, say in the middle of the night when you land into the country and you have to go back to Bangalore, say the next morning, I'm like, hey, dude, who'll spend some 6 or 7 grand on a high-end hotel? Let's just and you don't even want to go far away from the airport.
You sort of stay and come back.
You have to stay somewhere nearby. And nearby the Delhi airport, those days, there was nothing except these 4 or 5 hotels. Those are like shady-ass hotels. But today, the funny thing is, the same hotels have got Oyo branding written all over it. And families, newlyweds or young people, singles who just have 4 or 5 hours to spend in Delhi before taking a flight back, they go and take that hotel.
No, so that's an interesting point, right? As to why Oyo has succeeded, or so far in India, why they managed to expand so easily, why they made a name for themselves is they follow the rules. That's all it is. Yeah. Every other hotel in India, whether high end or low end, tends to get stuck in their own little cultural bubbles.
Yes. We can't allow this, we can't allow that.
We're too dirty, so women won't want to come here. We're not safe enough, so people want to come here. Where just general things like this: running water is not very clean, toilets are not very clean, bed sheets haven't been changed in a week, stuff like that. These basic things that are laws, but people don't follow because they know they can get away with it.
Absolutely.
So Oyo's big innovation is to follow the law. It's really that simple.
I think the biggest shining example would be like, for example, I mean, you go to any hotel in India. This includes 5 stars, by the way. Yeah. This includes 5 stars. You cannot. So many. If there are hypothetically 100 hotels in India, 95 would have told you the same thing. You are an unmarried couple. I'm sorry, you cannot. Even after you're booked, it has happened. Even after you have people have used online portals to book rooms. From 1,500 to 6 grand or even 10 grand, they have been told on spot. I know of so many instances like, I'm sorry.
Unmarried couple in India.
Cops might come and create an issue. But the funny thing, as he said, there are clear directions from the Supreme Court of India which says no hotel within the vicinity of this country has the right to deny a couple to share to take a room inside, to book a room.
Yeah, whether you agree with that or not is a personal choice. But the fact of the matter is, it's a law. And a lot of hotels are scared of police raids, as I call it. So the police, what they do is they'll say, we're looking for prostitutes.
Absolutely.
And they'll go after unmarried. Now, this doesn't happen too much in urban areas. It happens more in rural areas or suburban areas.
Absolutely.
But this happens. Now, Oyo's great innovation is to go everywhere and say, listen, now if you're a single hotel, right? If you're a do-gooder somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you want to start a hotel, and you're like, I don't care about couples, I don't care about any of the norms, I want to keep everything clean. You may have a lot of trouble with cops, with cultural issues, neighbors complaining about, look at all the unmarried couples. You may have those issues. If you've got a single hotel, that's very hard to get over. But if you've got a chain of hotels like Oyo, then now you're a brand, right? So if someone comes in, a cop comes and he tries to do that in an Oyo hotel, he's got to fight a massive organization who will crack down hard and say, what is this?
But absolutely, but on the other side, if you look at the model has been very simple for a young 18, 19-year-old guy 3-4 years back who started this, and he was funded massively, more than 100 million worth of dollars coming into his kitty. Now this is the positive side of it, but again, if you look at the financial side of it, okay, I mean, it's okay to be in losses in the sense that even Netflix is still in losses, but it's all for the future game. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, but there's something important when you talk about is, like we've talked about, Oyo's big success has been following the law, but also they haven't built the hotels. They've just kind of taken over existing hotels, given them a set of rules, say, listen, we'll do publicity for you.
That's
we'll
smart.
do your marketing, we'll do your PR, we'll create an app for you.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure people come, you make sure the hotel is good.
Absolutely. So they officially do not own any inventory kind of a thing on
now they're shifting them out. The last 6 months, Ritesh Agarwal, the Oyo founder and CEO, came out and said, we want to do more building, we want to do more owning of companies, because obviously when you're just an aggregator, you can't control quality, right?
Exactly.
You might have the occasional Oyo hotel who refuses to give you what you want, who refuses to change the bed sheets, who's lazy about it, stuff like that, right? Because at the end of the day, Oyo rooms don't cost a lot.
Exactly.
So that's a low profit margin for a lot of
That's
these
why they
Oyo
have
guys.
things like, I mean, the same lines what he's saying. That's why they have platforms like Townhouse right now.
Yeah.
I mean, across every metro that you'll go around in India, and that ranges for around, it
3,000
goes to 2,000 to 3,000
rupees,
if I'm not wrong.
And this is something that we need to realize is it's very hard to build your own hotels and succeed at that
and
range.
sustain. And it takes a long time. I remember there are so many people. I mean, I can count it. I mean, I was talking to around 10 or 9 people today morning in terms of, these folks have leased out. They've formed their own chain of hotels. I mean, the idea is to form their own chain of hotels. One of them, I remember this. I wouldn't take the name of this gentleman, but he started. I mean, this is the funny thing. He started his new hotel where, of all the places in India, he decides to lease a land and take the land on lease and start a hotel in Udaipur, right near the lake. I mean, where there is literally no place to create a new property, and B, all the properties are absolutely high end. I mean, the rates of the rate, the one single night's rate on each of the hotels near the Udaipur lake, I mean the Lake Chikala, it goes up to what, 50 grand a night or as much as that. And he did the mistake of creating a hotel over there, and now it's been 3 years and he is really struggling to succeed. And what does he do? He's gone ahead and collaborated with Oyo, and now he's seeing some profit in terms of, because
this is the
he's
thing,
taken
right?
the tension out.
Who are the guys who join Oyo? It's not the big guys who have hotels who can manage their own chains. It's the small guys. So, for example, Humpy. I remember I went to Humpy not 3 years ago, not even that long ago. And we had to go there, and, obviously you can't book before you go there, you negotiate with someone, you see, okay, $200, okay, I'll pay you $200 a night. Those are the guys that are joining Oyo now. Yeah. Because they make more than $200. They'll make a good $700, $800 bucks a night. Absolutely. What do they have to do? They have to change the bed sheets, do a little bit more laundry.
Absolutely.
It's not that much of a change for them economically.
Absolutely.
And the fact of the matter is, most of these hotel owners, they spend most of their day kind of wasting their time talking to friends. It's not like they have multiple organizations around. So these are the guys who help Oyo build a brand.
Absolutely.
But if Oyo wants to start creating hotels, there's a whole set of standards they've got to match. And now they're going to.
And that is where the more complexities come into place in terms of, owning such kind of inventory. And that is when,
getting property, and it's getting staff, training, liability, all of this.
That's a difficult. Because then they go into labor laws and things like that, because you're actually going to employ people on ground in a hotel from the hotel industry. That's a different ballgame altogether.
And then you've got a different kind of competition, right? Because you start townhouses, if you think about it. Our competition to 3-star, 4-star hotels, stuff like Taj Vivanta, that you could call it a comparison.
Absolutely.
The only difference is the Oyo rooms don't have these luxurious facilities.
And on the other hand, if you look at the maths behind Oyo rooms, it's actually very smart. But if you do look at it at this time around in the first 3 or 4 years of the company, it wouldn't be right for the company. It'll always look bad because of the kind of losses. Because as you give the Netflix example, but today, the average rate of a room is around 1,500 if you booking it on Oyo. And Oyo takes around 25% cut of that. That is around 250 rupees for that. And on top of it, you have other charges. There are cancellation charges on top of it. So there's not actual money, or there's not actual profit that the company is making, but that is what the VCs bet on. On larger ecosystems.
The bigger you make, once you get to enough level, then you can scale and say,
and I think
everyone makes money.
That is one of the reasons they are entering China. And China is a huge market in terms of the influx of tourists over there and the lower rank hotels. That's the thing. They've taken the ideology out that, I don't want to go and stay in this B grade or C grade hotel. So the moment you see this big Oyo room splashed up, even families go and stay over there now.
That's an important thing to understand about India, right? We may keep talking about, we have 1.3 billion people. But the number of people who use these kind of services are very minimal.
Exactly.
50 million.
Exactly.
That's the kind of number that use these kind of services.
That's a very critical point because, okay, here's the thing. We're talking about a certain category of hotels that is on Oyo Rooms, the platform that on the aggregator, right? Now, at the end of the day, it is an internet-enabled platform, right? So the question is, how many people? I mean, the question is the category of people who used to go to that B grade or C grade hotels. For example, if you can put it like that way, I mean, the under 2,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees. These people never use the internet to book those hotels.
Yeah.
They would, just like he gave you the Humpy examples, you would rather go over there.
Yeah.
Okay, this hotel near the bus station, near the railway station. You just go there, sir, room hai, you book. My question is, how if that is the same category of people, how many people are actually using the same Oyo platform or the internet to book hotels?
Exactly. Because the guys.
What is that number then?
I mean, it's hard to tell. Something is a Oyo trade secret, right? But you think about it, right? The guys who are going on vacation, they more often than not would want a hotel with facilities. Because Oyo's big drawback is there's no facilities. Yeah. If you're lucky, you got a high-end one, you might get like a pool or something.
It's very basic.
But you don't get restaurants, you don't get service, nothing like that. You get a room and a courteous reception.
Absolutely.
That's about it.
Absolutely.
And then, but then the guys who have more money will still be booking 5 stars.
Yes.
So this is primarily aimed at people who travel a lot. So there's pilots, journalists, consultants. These are the kind of people in sales. These are people who travel a lot on a weekly basis, a monthly basis.
Absolutely.
These are the ones who want to minimize costs while maximizing comfort. So that's a very narrow segment.
So are you saying that an aggregator like Oyo should collaborate more with corporates? Is that a new game they should look at?
That is a different thing for them to figure out. But I'm saying in China, that little segment, in India, it's very few people, 30 million, 50 million
Exactly,
people.
that's what
in
I'm
China,
saying.
it's a much larger segment.
Great
Just
point.
because China is far more advanced on a day-to-day basis than normal people. More people have access to tech. More people have access to information.
There is more access to internet over there between the different class of people. I mean, the economical.
Yeah, we're talking about the geo revolution in India. This happened in China 10 years ago.
Exactly.
So China is more
equipped
to. They've got more money. Their growing middle class has more money, more desire to travel, and these are the guys who want to maximize comfort and minimize.
Exactly.
So they don't have that history of I'll go to a 5-star hotel.
So that's a really interesting curve to this discussion because you look at it to what we started talking about initially. I mean, if those people who traditionally went to this certain category of hotels, they never needed the internet to do that. And do even in 2018 are these kind of people? That's a lot of people. If I'm talking about that category of people, do they still need the internet to go and book? Probably not. I mean, there's only a certain category of people in India. Even if you're talking about geo revolution, there's only a certain category of people in India who still use the internet for such kind of services. But on the other side, on the lob side, when he's saying Oyo is now entering, they've already entered China. They have they are already some 1,100 hotels, 11,000 hotels if I'm not wrong.
Wow.
In 4 or 5 cities. The point is, imagine what they can do in China right now with the same concept, with the same type of people.
Yeah, so flip side, so obviously there's a market to be exploited, whether they can do it or not is a different matter. But the flip side of this is how many foreign companies work in China? I mean, Uber, Facebook, Apple,
and they collaborated.
Microsoft,
The Uber collaboration happened.
Twitter, WhatsApp, these guys are all either banned or struggling to work in China.
Yeah, because they have their own counterparts who are already billion-dollar. I mean, they're already unicorn. Most of the counterparts of Google and all these guys, they're unicorns over there.
Not just unicorns, they're full-blown companies. They're the guys making other companies unicorns.
Absolutely. And they come back and invest in our countries like India. That also, before we end the show, that also, takes us to another very interesting fact. But Indian startups going global. Like, I'm talking about the unicorns going.
Indian startups starting with going global.
The other one is Ola, who is in Australia. Yeah. Now, that's a funny thing. I mean, without naming, but if you are smart enough, you understand the investors who put their money in Ola, the same investors they're putting, they're doing
Oyo, so this big Japanese fund called Softbank. These are the guys putting their money everywhere.
So
betting big on Asian startups.
I mean, there's so much already to do in India. In terms of India, still such a big market for these startups or other kind of startups. But do you think for certain categories, some of these companies need to venture out? Like an edtech platform, for example.
I think so, because there's certain things these companies can't do. So Oyo is focused on providing rooms at this level for a certain cost and certain quality.
Correct.
It's a great thing to do. It's hard to do. That's why no one's done it so far. But they're not going to suddenly turn down and make everyone use the internet. Oyo can't do that unless they pivot desperately into an internet company. Yeah. So they're not an ISP provider. They're not an internet service provider. They're a hotel company. And until there's a market for it, you may as well move on and enter new markets.
Absolutely. Right? The same thing that Ola did. I mean, you hardly. I mean, if there are only 2 or 3 startups which have. I mean, 2 or 3 like say cab hailing startups who have entered Australia. But now if you look at it, 4 big guys in Australia.
No, but also think about Oyo, right? Compared to an Ola, compared to every other buyouts, every other unicorn in India. Oyo is a significant market because they're not copying anyone. It was a pure model that they created. Ola was inspired by Uber.
Okay.
Oyo doesn't. It's not like Oyo was inspired by Taj or inspired by the Ritz-Carlton. They created their own thing to a significantly Indian problem,
Absolutely.
and now they can use it in other countries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, for them, expanding is sort of like Uber expanding 5 years ago. They're going, we've got the money, we've got the advantage, we've got the know-how. May as well try and get out there as much as we can. And Ritesh Agarwal does remind me of Travis Kalanick a lot in the sense that he's ready to expand.
Absolutely.
He wants to get out there. He wants to do before he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, I clearly
It
look
has
at,
pros and cons, but it's a very good thing for a startup.
And it's a great idea to expand because I mean just not in terms like, oh, I'm a big billion-dollar business, I need to go on other countries. It's just not because it sounds good in words. It makes sense also. For example, if you look at Airbnb, look at their model, look at the way they expanded. I mean, again, they didn't have to do many. They just have, it's a platform they created. That's it. People just dropped on it. It's a marketplace they created, and I don't see any issue with an Oyo going into these tourist destinations in Europe or in parts of Greece.
Listen,
There
because
is no
Oyo
harm.
is not the same thing as an Airbnb. Just like the same way Airbnb is not the same thing as couchsurfing.
Exactly.
These are very different strata of things. If you go on Airbnb, if you want slightly more control over your holiday. You go to Oyo if you want a hotel, but you don't care about facilities.
Let's face it. I mean, for example, I'll give you an example. I mean, I was talking to a gentleman from a 5-star hotel chain in India yesterday evening. I mean, this guy has been a manager in the 2 big 5-star hotel chains in India, and he made a very, very, very interesting point before I saw this news. He made a very interesting point. To him, he's like, see, today, if you're a traveler and you earn under $1 lakh of rupees in India, for example, and that's decent amount of rupees for you to make one trip to the European country once in a year or something like that. And so, what do you do? For most amount of money goes in, your food and your lodging. So you now, since there is an Airbnb, okay, that might be a cheaper. Why do people go to? Because cut down cost. That's the reason people go to Airbnb.
No, there's also different demographics. You go to different places.
Exactly.
Right? For example, a hostel will probably cost the same as an Oyo room.
Absolutely.
But very different groups of people will go to a hostel to an Oyo room.
Exactly.
Like a family will go to an Oyo room, but a 20-year-old kid
Like a hostel. I mean, you can't expect families to go and live in hostel, but people like us, we would love to because there are similar people with similar wavelengths in hostel. Exactly, different experience. So imagine an Oyo room doing the same in Europe. People will search for that because it's cheaper and it's travel, right? I just need to sleep there one night, and a lot of people do
if that's what you want, that's what Oyo is
absolutely. So the point is, I think it's a great idea for Indian startups to go global, especially if you look at likes of Ola, now Oyo Rooms going to China. I think it's a massive opportunity. The global, so the entire travel market is still a huge field for these guys to come.
I mean, there's obviously a market in China for Oyo to try and get its teeth into, but whether they can or not, we'll find out soon enough.
Absolutely. So until next time we talk to you about or rant to you about something, we'll meet you same time, same place tomorrow.